Before anything else, pause and let this sink in calmly, because this message is not meant to rush you, not meant to pressure you, and not meant to create anxiety. It is meant to awaken awareness inside you. God says, "My beloved soul, something is quietly aligning in your life, and what is approaching your home is not random chance. It is the result of preparation that has been happening behind the scenes for longer than you realize." You have been moving through a season that felt ordinary on the surface, but beneath that surface your patience, discipline, and resilience have been building momentum. The surprising news on its way to you is connected to that momentum, and momentum only forms when consistent effort meets unseen timing. There were days when you felt like nothing was changing, when routines felt repetitive, when progress seemed invisible. You kept going anyway. You fulfilled responsibilities even when motivation fluctuated. You maintained integrity even when shortcuts looked tempting. You chose calm over reaction, growth over stagnation, reflection over impulsiveness. All of these small decisions may have seemed insignificant at the time, but small disciplined decisions accumulate into powerful outcomes. What is coming toward your home carries the weight of those accumulated choices. It is not a sudden miracle detached from your effort. It is a confirmation of the direction you have been walking. God says, understand this clearly. Surprising news does not always appear as something dramatic or overwhelming. Sometimes it arrives as a solution where there was confusion. Sometimes it arrives as approval where there was waiting. Sometimes it arrives as clarity where there was doubt. Sometimes it arrives through a conversation that shifts perspective, a message that opens opportunity, or a development that changes your environment. What matters most is not the form it takes, but your readiness to receive it without shrinking back into old fears. In the past, when positive change approached, you may have questioned it, wondering if it would last, wondering if you deserved it, wondering if something would go wrong. That mindset is what is being refined now. You are no longer the person who expects disappointment as protection. You are becoming someone who allows yourself to anticipate good news with calm confidence rather than guarded skepticism. That shift is powerful. When you expect improvement while staying grounded, you create emotional stability. Emotional stability allows you to handle growth without panic. Growth handled calmly becomes sustainable. Sustainability is more valuable than sudden spikes of excitement. What is on its way to your home is not meant to destabilize you. It is meant to elevate you gradually and securely. Reflect for a moment on the area of your life that has felt paused. Maybe it is financial. Maybe it is relational. Maybe it is professional. Maybe it is personal development. Somewhere in your life you have been waiting for movement. You have been consistent, yet results seem delayed. God says delays were not denials, they were preparation. Preparation often feels slow because it strengthens foundations rather than displaying immediate rewards. Foundations are invisible until they are tested. Your foundation has been strengthening quietly. That is why what is coming will not overwhelm you. You are capable of handling it now in ways you could not before. There is also a lesson in timing embedded in this message. Surprising news arrives when your perspective is mature enough to interpret it wisely. In earlier seasons, you might have rushed decisions, reacted emotionally, or doubted opportunities. Now you evaluate thoughtfully. You consider long-term effects. You protect your peace. That maturity changes how outcomes unfold. When you handle opportunities with discipline rather than impulse, those opportunities expand rather than collapse. This is why the news approaching you carries potential for stability instead of chaos. God says remain attentive, but remain calm. You do not need to chase what is meant for you. You do not need to force doors open prematurely. Continue showing up in your daily commitments. Continue refining your habits. Continue strengthening your mindset. Surprising news often arrives during ordinary moments, not during dramatic anticipation. It may come through a simple notification, a quiet confirmation, an agreement, a decision finalized behind the scenes. When it comes, you will recognize it not because it is loud, but because it feels aligned with the direction you have been building. Another important truth is this: sometimes the surprise is not about external change, but internal realization. You may discover clarity about a path you were unsure about. You may realize that something you feared is no longer intimidating. You may understand that you have outgrown a limitation that once defined you. Internal shifts often create external opportunities. When your confidence stabilizes, you act differently. When you act differently, your environment responds differently. This is how growth unfolds naturally. You are entering a period where expectation should replace hesitation. Expectation does not mean unrealistic fantasy, it means quiet belief that improvement is possible. Quiet belief shapes posture, tone, and decision-making. It influences how you speak, how you negotiate, how you present yourself, how you respond to feedback. Those subtle changes often invite new outcomes. God says the surprising news approaching your home is aligned with your elevated posture, not your past insecurity. Do not let impatience distract you in this season. Impatience can create tension that blinds you to subtle progress. Stay observant. Stay disciplined. Stay grateful even before confirmation arrives. Gratitude prepares your heart to receive without fear. When you are grateful in advance, you reduce resistance. Reduced resistance allows smoother transitions. Smooth transitions build confidence for larger opportunities. As you continue forward, remind yourself that nothing truly aligned with you can bypass you. What is meant to reach your home will reach your home. Your role is not to worry, your role is to remain prepared. Preparation means mental clarity, emotional balance, and consistent effort. You have been building all three. That is why this moment matters. You are not being surprised randomly, you are being rewarded responsibly. Stay grounded. Stay consistent. Stay open. The movement has already begun, even if you cannot see every detail yet. What is approaching carries confirmation that your patience was not wasted and your discipline was not unnoticed. And this is only the beginning of what alignment can create when readiness meets opportunity. God says, "My beloved soul, now that you understand something is aligning in your favor, it is important to understand why this moment is different from the times before. In the past, when good news approached your life, you often met it with mixed emotions. You felt excitement, but also hesitation. You felt hope, but also fear of losing it. You felt opportunity, but also doubt about whether you were ready. That internal conflict sometimes slowed your ability to fully receive what was meant for you. But now something within you has matured. You are not reacting the same way. You are calmer, more centered, and more disciplined in your thinking. This shift is not accidental. It is the result of lessons you have absorbed quietly through experience. There were seasons when you were tested in patience. You had to wait longer than you expected. You had to trust without visible proof. You had to remain consistent without immediate reward. At the time, it felt like delay. Now you are beginning to see that it was training. Training strengthens capacity. Capacity determines how much you can hold without becoming overwhelmed. What is on its way to your home requires emotional stability, mental clarity, and grounded confidence. You are developing all three. That is why this moment carries a different energy than previous opportunities. You are prepared not only to receive the news, but to sustain what comes after it. Surprising news is often misunderstood. Many expect it to be dramatic or life-altering overnight. But the most powerful news is the kind that unlocks doors gradually. It may begin as a small confirmation, a subtle approval, or a conversation that changes direction. It may seem simple at first, but its impact unfolds over time. God says do not underestimate the quiet beginnings. Quiet beginnings often lead to strong foundations. Strong foundations support lasting growth. You are entering a phase where stability matters more than sudden excitement. Stability ensures that what arrives stays. Reflect on how your mindset has changed recently. You are thinking more strategically. You are less reactive and more reflective. You do not jump to conclusions as quickly as before. You evaluate information carefully. You consider long-term impact rather than short-term emotion. This maturity shapes how you interpret opportunities. When surprising news arrives, you will not panic. You will not rush. You will assess calmly and move intentionally. That approach creates momentum that is sustainable rather than chaotic. God says another reason this moment is significant is because you have released certain internal pressures. You are no longer trying to prove yourself constantly. You are no longer measuring your worth by immediate results. You are understanding that growth is cumulative. Cumulative growth produces compound rewards. Compound rewards often arrive when you least expect them because they have been building silently in the background. The news approaching your home carries the weight of compounded effort. Every small improvement you made is contributing to it. There is also a deeper layer to this message. Sometimes surprising news is not only about gain, but about confirmation that you were on the right path all along. You may receive validation that your instincts were correct. You may discover that a decision you once questioned was actually wise. You may find that a door you thought was closed is reopening in a better way. Confirmation strengthens confidence. Confidence strengthens execution. Execution strengthens results. This cycle is about to become clearer in your life. Remain mindful of your reactions. When positive change begins, it can trigger old doubts. You might hear internal questions like, "Is this really happening?" or "What if it doesn't last?" God says acknowledge those thoughts, but do not let them control you. Doubt is a natural response to unfamiliar improvement. But unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. It simply means new. You are capable of navigating new territory because you have already navigated uncertainty before. You survived previous challenges. You adapted to changing conditions. You learned from setbacks. Those experiences are proof of your resilience. The surprising news approaching your home also symbolizes transition. Transitions require adaptability. Adaptability requires confidence. Confidence requires trust in your own preparation. Trust that you have grown enough to handle the next chapter. Trust that your discipline was not wasted. Trust that your patience was shaping you for something specific. The transition may not be loud or dramatic, but it will be meaningful. It will mark the beginning of a different pace in your life. Continue to focus on your daily structure. Do not become distracted by anticipation. Stay committed to the habits that strengthened you. Maintain the routines that grounded you. Surprising news is best received by someone who is already organized internally. When your internal environment is steady, external change integrates smoothly. Integration is important because it determines whether improvement becomes permanent or temporary. God says gratitude is your strongest preparation tool right now. Gratitude stabilizes your perspective. It prevents arrogance and reduces fear. It reminds you that progress is a gift built on effort. Expressing gratitude before the news arrives positions your heart to receive without anxiety. When you are grateful, you shift from scarcity to abundance. That shift influences how you handle opportunity. You may not know the exact form of what is coming, but you can prepare your mindset for success. Visualize yourself responding with calm confidence. Visualize yourself making wise decisions. Visualize yourself maintaining balance while stepping into growth. Visualization trains your mind. God says, "My beloved soul, now you are stepping into the deeper layer of this message, because surprising news is not only about what is coming toward you, it is also about who you are becoming as it approaches. There is a transformation taking place inside you that is just as important as the external development itself. You are no longer reacting to life from insecurity. You are responding from awareness. You are no longer chasing outcomes desperately. You are positioning yourself strategically. That shift changes how every opportunity unfolds in your life. In earlier seasons, when something promising appeared, you may have attached your entire emotional stability to it. If it worked out, you felt elevated. If it delayed, you felt discouraged. If it failed, you felt defeated. But now you are learning emotional balance. You are learning that your identity is not tied to a single outcome. You are understanding that progress is a process, not a single event. This stability is essential because the news approaching your home requires someone who can handle growth without becoming overwhelmed by it. You are becoming that person. There is also a refinement happening in your expectations. You are no longer waiting for miracles that bypass effort. You are expecting improvement that aligns with preparation. That expectation is healthy. It keeps you grounded while still hopeful. Hope without discipline creates illusion. Discipline without hope creates exhaustion. But when hope and discipline work together, they create sustainable advancement. What is coming toward you carries the balance of both. God says think about how much stronger your mindset has become in recent months. You think long-term more often. You evaluate consequences before acting. You pause before reacting. These are signs of maturity. Maturity attracts stability. Stability attracts opportunity. Opportunity handled wisely leads to expansion. Expansion handled wisely leads to influence. You are not just receiving news, you are stepping into a broader capacity for responsibility and growth. The surprising news approaching your home may represent resolution in an area where tension once existed. It may bring clarity where confusion lingered. It may open doors in ways that feel natural rather than forced. The key difference now is that you are not forcing outcomes. You are aligning with them. Alignment reduces friction. When friction reduces, movement becomes smoother. Smooth movement builds confidence. Confidence strengthens decision-making. Decision-making shapes your future. You must also understand that readiness is not perfection. You may still have moments of uncertainty. You may still feel nervous when change begins. That is normal. Growth always stretches comfort zones. But stretching is not the same as breaking. You are not fragile. You are adaptable. Adaptability is one of your greatest strengths, even if you have not always recognized it. You have adapted to setbacks before. You have adapted to unexpected shifts before. Each time, you came out wiser. That wisdom is supporting you now. God says the reason this moment feels significant is because it marks a transition from waiting to movement. Waiting builds endurance. Movement builds momentum. Momentum builds results. You are entering the movement phase. Movement does not mean chaos. It means intentional action guided by clarity. You will know when it begins because things will feel synchronized rather than scattered. Conversations will connect naturally. Information will align logically. Decisions will feel structured. That sense of flow is a sign of alignment. Guard your mindset during this period. When positive change approaches, distractions often attempt to steal focus. Stay disciplined. Continue strengthening your routines. Continue refining your skills. Continue protecting your peace. Surprising news is most powerful when it meets preparation. Preparation ensures that opportunity is not wasted. You have invested time into growth already. Continue investing. There is also an important truth about reception. Many people struggle to receive because they feel unworthy or unprepared. You are learning to receive without guilt. You are learning to accept progress as a reflection of effort rather than luck. That perspective shift is powerful. It prevents self-sabotage. It prevents unnecessary doubt. It allows you to step into improvement without apologizing for it. The news approaching your home may not arrive with dramatic announcement, but it will carry confirmation. Confirmation that you were right to persist. Confirmation that your discipline mattered. Confirmation that your patience was shaping something meaningful. When it arrives, acknowledge it with gratitude. Gratitude multiplies clarity. Clarity strengthens focus. Focus accelerates growth. Stay calm. Stay ready. Stay grounded. You are not chasing this moment. It is approaching because you have aligned yourself with progress. And when alignment meets preparation, surprising news becomes natural rather than unexpected. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are in motion. God says, "My beloved soul," now we arrive at the most important part of this message, because surprising news is not only about arrival, it is about integration. Many people celebrate when good news comes, but very few know how to integrate that news into their lives in a way that creates lasting change. You are being prepared not just to receive something positive, but to sustain it, grow it, and protect it. That is why this season has required maturity from you. That is why patience was necessary. That is why discipline was built quietly behind the scenes. You were not only waiting for news, you were being shaped into someone who can handle it responsibly. When the news reaches your home, whether through a message, a conversation, a confirmation, or an opportunity, your response will determine the outcome. Do not rush your reaction. Stay centered. Process calmly. Think clearly. The difference between temporary improvement and long-term progress often lies in the first few decisions you make after receiving new information. You are capable of responding wisely because you are no longer operating from insecurity. You are operating from awareness. There is also something powerful happening within your confidence. In the past, you may have required constant reassurance to believe that something good could last. Now your confidence is becoming internal rather than dependent on external validation. Internal confidence is stable. It does not collapse at the first sign of uncertainty. It adapts. It adjusts. It recalibrates. This is the kind of confidence that supports expansion. Expansion supported by internal confidence becomes sustainable success. God says, remember that surprising news often reveals the results of invisible work. You may not have seen progress daily, but progress was accumulating. Like water slowly filling a container, your efforts were building quietly. Now, that container is reaching a level where overflow becomes visible. Overflow does not happen instantly, it happens when consistency reaches capacity. You have been consistent more than you give yourself credit for. The overflow is a reflection of that quiet consistency. This moment also calls for discernment. Not every opportunity that follows good news deserves immediate commitment. Evaluate carefully. Ask yourself whether the next step aligns with your long-term direction. Stay disciplined. Surprising news can bring excitement, but excitement must be balanced with strategy. Strategy ensures that growth compounds rather than collapses. You are stepping into a period where wise decision-making will multiply your progress. Another truth you must remember is that your peace is more valuable than any opportunity. If the news that arrives invites you to grow, accept it with confidence. If it challenges your boundaries, strengthen them calmly. If it opens new doors, step through thoughtfully. You do not need to abandon your values to embrace growth. In fact, your values are the very reason growth can remain stable in your life. Protect them. Protect your discipline. Protect your focus. God says the surprising news approaching your home is also symbolic of trust. Trust that your preparation mattered. Trust that your consistency created momentum. Trust that your maturity changed the trajectory of your path. You are no longer someone waiting for permission. You are someone ready to act responsibly when opportunity appears. That readiness is powerful. Continue nurturing gratitude as the moment approaches. Gratitude keeps your perspective clear. It prevents comparison. It prevents arrogance. It prevents fear. When gratitude leads, clarity follows. When clarity leads, action becomes effective. When action becomes effective, results stabilize. This is the cycle you are stepping into. Do not underestimate small confirmations. Sometimes the first sign of surprising news is subtle. It may appear as a minor improvement that signals larger movement ahead. Recognize it. Acknowledge it. Build on it. Progress builds through recognition of small victories as much as through large achievements. You are learning to value both. As this chapter unfolds, remember that growth is not an endpoint, it is a continuous journey. The news arriving at your home marks transition, not completion. It is the beginning of a new rhythm. A new level of responsibility. A new standard of discipline. A new depth of confidence. Embrace it calmly. Walk into it intentionally. Allow yourself to expand without fear. If this message has resonated with your spirit from beginning to end, type "I receive with gratitude" in the comments as your declaration. Like this video to affirm that you are ready for sustainable growth. Share it with someone who needs encouragement during their waiting season. And subscribe if you are committed to continuing this path of discipline, clarity, and steady elevation. What is on its way to your home is aligned with who you have become, and you are ready to integrate it wisely.